Season 2 of Solo Leveling begins and we are told, back on Earth, where 2 years had passed, the words of a certain fortune teller became a cause for uproar all across America. The god of death will soon descend upon this land. Under normal circumstances, this prophecy would have gone ignored. But the fact that it was delivered by none other than Ms. Norma Selner herself, made it a big issue. And Ms. Selner says the god of death will descend upon this land with a colossal army. As you know, none of us can escape death. So running away from him will be futile. And then 2 years ago, after her third eye suddenly opened, Ms. Selner predicted the death of a North Korean dictator, an airplane hijacking by terrorists, and a stock market crash due to plummeting house prices. Since then, she had been the center of controversy due to her accuracy time and time again. So when she proclaimed the end of the world, everyone was utterly shocked. The very next day, a black hole big enough to eclipse the entire sky over Seoul appeared, and Ms. Selner's prophecy made headlines all across the world. Then after this, some strange movement starts happening in the sky, and when the people here see this thing, they get very surprised, because they do not understand what is happening in the sky, and in the sky a hole opens, and everyone is completely surprised to see what is going to come out of that hole. But nothing comes out of that hole, and we are shown someone who is hiding his face and coming out of here. Is going, and then someone comes over there and says, "Congratulations on your safe return, Mr. Sung Jin-Woo. Or should I say, Monarch of Shadows. I never imagined you'd come back looking like a middle schooler." So Jin-Woo says, "I thought people might be shocked if I showed up with a full beard. It feels nice to have at least one person welcome me back." Then now this man says, "To think you've returned after getting rid of those monarch all by yourself. It's truly amazing. But I can sense the weight of millions of soldiers marching along with each step you take." And after hearing these things, Jin-Woo says, "I doubt you came all this way just to give me a bouquet. What business does an envoy of the rulers have with me?" So this man tells, "The rulers have a message for you, Shadow Monarch. This may take a while, so how about we take this conversation elsewhere?" "All right. I just thought of a place I want to stop by." Then after this, both of them come to the ice cream shop, and this man says, "You wanted to stop by an ice cream shop?" So Jin-Woo says, "Being in the middle of nowhere for so long really gives you a craving for sweets, so what did the rulers say?" So this man tells, "Right. They would first and foremost like to thank you," but Jin-Woo says, "Just skip the formalities and cut to the chase. Has there been some kind of problem?" And this man now starts telling Jin-Woo the whole thing and says, "No. Rather, I'm here because everything has been resolved. However, the rulers are worried about the effect your power will have on this world. As you already know, the power you possess is far too great for Earth to handle. Without mana, this world is too fragile. So if it's all right with you, we'd like to transport you to another world that can handle your power." And listening to this man, Jin-Woo says, "Instead of going through all that trouble, you could always just seal me away and call it a day." And this guy also says that may also be an option, but... And now Jin-Woo gets angry. "Are you trying to get rid of me, now that my purpose has been served? Just because you fear my power?" And hearing such words from Jin-Woo, this man gets very scared and says, "No. It's not like that at all. Please take a look at this. The god of death will descend upon this land. What's this article about?" Ms. Selner's prophecy has been garnering much attention since before your arrival. She wasn't such an impressive fortune teller back when you first disappeared. But having contact with our world changed her life. In response, Jin-Woo says, "So in short, you're saying my existence can bring about these kinds of changes? Could you come back another time?" And now this man goes from here following Jin-Woo's words. Then now Jin-Woo starts talking to himself and says, "If every living thing has a purpose for existing, then one thing's for sure. As the new Shadow Monarch, I used my powers to put a stop to the supernatural disasters that threatened the world as well as the monarch's attack. Thus, I have fulfilled my duty, but that means my power is like nuclear fuel that has become dangerous toxic waste at the end of its life cycle. Which brings up the question, have I become someone who is no longer needed here? What an empty feeling." And then a girl passes in front of Jin-Woo, and that makes Jin-Woo feel something, and he rushes out to see that girl, and further says, "From now on I'll probably continue to question whether I should remain here on Earth. But if I had to name one reason why I should stay, it would be because the people I love are still here, as well as the people who love me now, and loved me before. I think that's more than enough reason for me to remain here. So I'll stay and search for other reasons why I should continue to stay. Then after this the scene is swift and we come to a police station where someone is saying, "Sometimes I feel an inexplicable sense of loss. It feels as if I've forgotten about something important. But no matter how hard I think about it, there isn't anything that I've forgotten. The more I think about whatever I might have forgotten, the more I feel empty inside." And he is Woo Jinchul, officer of 4 years Violent Crimes Division. Then a junior officer says, "Why are you so deep in thought, sir?" Then Jinchul thinks in his mind, "Right. They said a busy bee has no time to be sad. I should just get to work." And when Jinchul is going ahead, he sees a man and says, "Who are they?" And this criminal is very scared and is saying, "A monster emerged from the shadows." No, the shadow. The shadow rose from the ground and spoke to me. It told me I'd regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't give myself up to the police in 24 hours. "Officer, it's all my fault, so please put me behind bars." Then Jinchul says, "So you guys all saw this shadow monster?" "Why yes. I'm telling you. How should we report this to the higher ups?" Then just then another officer comes there and says, "Jinchul, let our junior officer take their statements and come to the meeting room." And when Jinchul goes to the meeting room, and his higher officer tells something, Jinchul gets very surprised to hear it and says, "What? Do you want to release the men who confessed earlier?" Then another officer says, "Keep your voice down. They're going to hear you from outside the room." But Jinchul does not agree with his words and says, "You want to release those men? What on earth do you mean by that?" But the other man says, "I'm not saying we should just let them go. I'm saying we should leave them outside and see what happens after 24 hours. And after listening to his such words, Jinchul says, "Sir, I'm telling you, they're just talking nonsense because they're high off of drugs. I'm sure seeing monsters is a new side effect of some drug." And a third man says, "But their drug tests came back clean. I went to the National Forensic Service to check the results myself." But the senior officer says, "And does it make any sense that all these guys who have no connection to each other decided to confess their crimes after seeing the same thing? The higher-ups told us to find out what's going on a long time ago. Yet we still have no clue why this is happening. We have no other choice, we need to do this to find whatever clues we can. So let's create the right conditions for them to start spewing more nonsense." And then Jinchul says, "But what if something bad really does happen?" And all these officers start laughing after listening to Jinchul. "Officer Woo, do you believe in ghosts or something? I never knew you had such an imaginative side to you." Jinchul, "Nothing will happen, Officer Woo. We're going to take one of those guys to a quiet storage room and see what happens. A bunch of strong officers will be watching him, so there's no way he'll be able to escape. And say that a monster really does appear in 24 hours, like these guys claimed. Wouldn't that be a good thing for us? Now, we need some volunteers. You don't have to join us for this job if you don't want to, Officer Woo." And Jinchul says, "No, I'll go, too." Then after this, these people come to a deserted go-down with that criminal. But this criminal is very scared and is saying, "Officers, you seriously can't do this." I'm going top. The officer calms him down and says, "Just stay still. There's something we need to investigate." But this criminal doesn't believe and says, "I'm telling you, I'm going to die." And the officer says, "Hey, who says you're dying? We'll be right by your side guarding you." "Officer Kim, how long do we have until the 24 hours are up?" "Let me see, it looks like we have around 10 minutes left." And in this place it is getting cold now, and Jinchul is thinking in his mind, for some reason the air around here feels a little different from usual. And now it's time, but the atmosphere of this place is very calm. But this criminal is very scared, and says why nothing has happened till now. Then after this the officer says to that criminal, "Hey, did you guys really do drugs together or something? Stop stalling and tell us the truth. That'll make our work easier for us." And this criminal says in fear, "We definitely saw it. The truth is, there were 4 of us at first." Then Jinchul gets angry and yells, "Get yourself out there and show us." And then there's a commotion, and tons of shadows come out and attack the 2 of them, so that these people fall far away and fall unconscious on the spot. And when he sees the criminal, his breath stops. The fear of the shadow army is clearly visible inside him. And when he sees the Jinchul as well as, then it becomes very surprised that monsters have appeared in front of it, and is thinking in its mind, "A monster really appeared, and are 3 of them, too." And then after this, when he sees the criminal, he gets very scared and all the shadow armies go ahead to attack the direct criminal and kill him with great cruelty, and all these end now they are covered in blood, and Jinchul is watching this thing from a distance. Where are its feet? And seeing such a dangerous form of Jinchul and army, his heart is shaken and there is virus in front of it, and he is thinking in his mind, that ant just smile at me. No, more importantly, how could I tell from the look in its eyes that it was glad to see me? It's almost like I've dealt with situations like this before. Why on earth is that? Then after this his senior officer now gets very angry and he shouts, how could you screw up this badly? You're all useless. The man who confessed vanished without leaving a trace behind. You're supposed to be police officers, yet you're telling me you all fainted? What about you, Officer Wu? You called the ambulance, didn't you? Do you remember anything? And Jinchul says, I'm sorry. When I snapped out of my shock, the other officers were unconscious. And listening to Jinchul, this officer says, thankfully this hasn't been reported to the higher ups yet. So keep your mouth shut, as far as anyone is concerned. You got hurt by accident while you were investigating the Guro district gang. Then after hearing this everyone understands, and then Jinchul is doing his work and thinking in his mind there's definitely something going on here. And then a junior officer comes over there and says, Sir, are you going to keep investigating the case of the men who confessed? But the captain said, so Jinchul says, I know. I'm just looking into it for personal reasons. Then junior officer says, it looks like tons of other criminals confessed their crimes at police stations other than ours. But it looks like the number of criminals dropped significantly between the end of February and the beginning of March. And after listening to her words, Jinchul says, what is it? Did you think of something? And then the junior officer says, it's nothing special, you see. My aunt used to run a small book rental shop. I remember her complaining that business would always be slow between the end of February and the beginning of March. Because that's when all the kids start or go back to school. It's useless information, isn't it? But Jinchul says, no, I'll keep that in mind just in case. And then the scene shifts after that, and we're shown a school where class is about to start, and all the new students are arriving, and our Jin-Woo is among them all. Then after this we come to the principal of the school who says, a troublemaker student is coming to our school, Mr. Park. Then after this PT, teacher says, let's see. His father is a firefighter, and his mother is a regular housewife. He also has decent grades, I don't see any big problems on paper. And after hearing this the principal says, not so fast, take a look at the comments below about his absence from school. But PT, teacher says, wait. He ran away from home for 2 years when he was fresh out of elementary school and in his first year of middle school. Not even high school. And then the principal says, yes. So, do you think you can handle this student? And after hearing this PT, teacher says, you know why they call me the Cobra, don't you? Give me any troublemaker and I'll teach them not to cause trouble ever again. And this teacher's name is Park Geyserl the Cobra. Then all the students are after this, they come to the ground, and the point teacher says, quiet down, who's still talking? And then he looks at Jinwoo from afar, and that boy is Sung Jin-Woo. You may have been a troublemaker, but I'll turn you into an obedient lamb. He's wearing a glove. That's against the school dress code. In that case I'll give him a taste of the black flaming dragon sealed within me. Then the PT, teacher says, hey you're wearing glove. Where do you think you are right now? But when Jinwoo sees the teacher with his own eyes, this teacher's condition is it only gets worse, because he can sense that Jinwoo has power, and seeing Jinwoo's power, the teacher gets very scared, and turns himself to the other side and tells the other students, all of you, be quiet. And stand up straight. Was I seeing things just now? Then after this Jinwoo's second general shadow says, my liege. Just now, that man, but Jinwoo says, yeah. I think he saw you guys. Is this also part of the effect that I'm having on this world? And now the class starts, where all the students are talking together, but Jinwoo is sitting at his desk studying, and then someone comes up to him and says, hey, you're Jinwoo. Sung Jin-Woo, right? It's me, oh young Gil. We were in the same class in middle school. Do you live in the area? I moved here last year. And then the troublemakers come and say, hey, step aside for a second, and now they all surround Jinwoo and say to Jinwoo, whoa, are you some sort of hotshot? You're even wearing a glove. But why are you only wearing a glove on one hand? Do you have a black flaming dragon sealed in there or something? My hands. I also have a black flaming goat bleeding in my right hand. And Jin-Woo thinks to himself, what the, are they trying to establish a pecking order already? Then these people say, take that glove off. Let me try it on. Can this guy even hear us? We told him to take the glove off, so why isn't he answering us? What's wrong? Do you have a tattoo on your left hand or something? Then after this Beru says, my liege, with your permission, I shall rip their bodies to pieces so they can never disrespect you again, but Jin-Woo says I'm not giving you my permission for that. And now Jin-Woo takes the hand club out of his hand, and thinks to himself, my hand got injured in my fight against the Dragon King, and Terry's. It was the only wound that couldn't be healed. What's wrong, have you never seen a burn before? And after seeing this people say, why are you acting so serious? We were only kidding around. Hey, just put that glove back on. Or I'm gonna see your hand in my nightmares. Then after this Jin-Woo thinks in his mind, don't follow them. What are you even gonna do to them? It's nice and quiet now. Then Jin-Woo uses his shadow power to knock them all down to the ground in one fell swoop, and everyone is shocked to see this, and Jin-Woo says that was just for laughs. Then now Jin-Woo and his new friend, now going to another place, then his other friend says, you sure have changed a lot in these past 3 years, Jin-Woo. You didn't seem intimidated by those guys at all. Did you start working out while you were gone? But Jin-Woo says, I did train a lot. And in response his friend says, then, are you going to join a sports club? Then Jin-Woo says, there is a club that I want to join. Then the scene shifts and we are shown a man who says, you want to join the track and field club? And its name is Choi Taeyong Track and Field Club Captain. And then some people come over there and say, hey, what's going on? Do they want to join our club? We've never had a freshman barge in and asking to join our clubs like this. You're something else. Kid, are you a student athlete? Did you have any experience running in middle school? This club is made up of student athletes only. If you don't have any running experience, why do you want to join the track and field club? Then Jin-Woo says, because there's someone that I want to meet at the track and field competition. She's still in middle school, but I'm sure she's good enough to enter the regional competition. After all, she was a talented track and field star before she gave up her dream and became high-ranking hunter. If I enter the track and field competition for middle and high school students, maybe I'll jump into her naturally. Then the captain says, all right. But I have one condition. Do you see that guy over there? He's a second-year reserve member and the word runner in our club. You should be able to run faster than him if you want to join the track and field club. He looks lanky at first glance, but he has firm thighs and shins. Just look at the confidence he's radiating, too. What the captain said is obviously a lie. Then Jin-Woo says, all right. I'll give it a try. And this guy is thinking in his mind, he didn't even recognize the guy who won 3rd place in last year's regional competition. How does he expect to join the track and field club? And then the captain says, all right. But just running without any stakes would be boring. If you win, you get to join the track and field club. But if you lose, you have to do our laundry and cleaning for free for a month. What do you say? Then the scene is swift and a girl says, are you feeling better now, Mr. Park? Yes, I think. Should I take another break and go smoke? And now PT. Teacher is smoking near the window, and when he looks through the window, Jin-Woo is running with great speed, and after seeing this he thinks in his mind, what the? Why is that brat running on the track with the kids from the track and field club? Why is Sung Jin-Woo running with the students from your club? And the second teacher says, you mean that guy? So his name's Sung Jin-Woo? Apparently, a freshman showed up saying he wants to join the track and field club. The club members tested him to see how fast he could run. And he was so good that they couldn't turn him away. Now, they're running with him to test his endurance. Yes. That's his both lap now. I got tired of watching, so I left and came up here. And then the point teacher says, I thought the kid was a troublemaker, but maybe I was wrong. That's right. I should treat him without any prejudice. Then the misunderstanding about his character should get resolved. And then suddenly, what the hell am I seeing now? I must be hallucinating. This can't be happening. But when he looks in front, he gets very scared and his condition becomes very bad due to fear because he sees very dangerous thing there. And then another general says, I told you not to do it. It looks like this human can really see us, and when that dangerous thing comes in front of PT, Teacher, he can't even move. He stops there and screams loudly, and after seeing this another teacher comes
with the junior officer talking to Jinchul, and to Jinchul, junior officer says, "Sir, all this time, you've been investigating the case of the criminals who came to the station to confess you actually saw something that day. Didn't you? Come on, sir, you know what I'm talking about. I mean the day that criminal disappeared from the warehouse. Didn't you see something then?" And Jinchul remembers the things of that day, how the Shadow Army had killed that criminal. Then Jinchul says, "It was an ant. An ant monster. I'm not sure what exactly I saw back then, either. But to me, it looked like an ant." And after hearing this the junior officer says, "An ant monster? Are you saying something that looks like a giant ant appeared?" And Jinchul says no, it was definitely an ant, but... And then the junior officer says, "Did that ant monster look like an ant with a human body by any chance?" And then the scene is swift, and some kids are running and saying, "Our goal is to win the nationals." Wait, Captain, wasn't our goal to win the regional competition? Come on. Set your sights higher. Repeat after me. Let's win the nationals. But Jinwoo's friend, he doesn't have much stamina, so he is weak, and when Jinwoo sees this he says, "Why'd he have to join the club with me?" He's practically gasping for his life. And the second Shadow General says, "Humans are foolish creatures, my liege." But Jinwoo uses his power, and fills his friend's stamina, and his friend, feeling such power inside him, gets very surprised, and says, "What's happening? My body is burning up." And now it is running forward with great speed, and when other people see this thing, they are very surprised, and they say the new recruit is running with such zeal. You'd all better up your game as his seniors. And all this thing the PT teacher is watching from far away and says, "Did that ant monster look like an ant with a human body, by any chance?" What am I say? I'm sorry. I must be really drunk. I'll leave you two to your conversation. And their Jinchul comes, and listens to the PT teacher's words, and says, "Thatin, could you tell me more about it?" And at the same time Jinwoo is listening to all these things from a distance and thinking in his mind, "He's been keeping real close eye on me lately." And then second Shadow General says to Jinwoo, "My liege, wouldn't it be better to erase that human's memory and take away his ability?" But Jinwoo says, "Not yet. Let's just keep an eye on him a little longer." And Jinchul is still in that school, and thinking in his mind, there must be some sort of connection between the monsters those criminals saw and the monsters the teacher claimed to have seen around that student. Though it's just a police officer's hunch. The problem is, how am I supposed to ask the student about the monsters? Do you know anything about shadow monsters? How about an ant that can walk on 2 feet like a human? I wouldn't blame him if he thought I was out of my mind. And then suddenly, the shadow passes under Jinchul's feet. And when Jinchul sees that shadow, he does not understand anything, but he thinks, "Is it the same monster?" And then Jinchul says, "There's definitely something lurking in this school." And then Jinwoo is thinking in his mind, "Did he spot my shadow guard then again? I expect no less from the former chairman of the Hunters Association." Woo Jinchul, he shouldn't have in memories of the past, but his instincts are still as sharp as ever. "You're a police officer." And at the same time Jinchul is asking another student, "You have nothing to worry about. I just have a few questions for the student named Sung Jin-Woo." And after hearing this all the students say, "A police officer came here to talk to Sung Jin-Woo. He must have gotten into some kind of trouble." And Jinchul now brings Jin-Woo to another place, and talks to him. "I'm sorry I interrupted your lesson." But Jin-Woo is thinking in his mind, "I haven't seen him in years. If I factor in the time that I was lost in the dimensional rift, it's been dozens of years now. I'm glad to see him, but if I act like it, he's going to think I'm strange." And at the same time Jinchul is not able to understand anything seeing Jinwoo, but he is thinking in his mind, "This student seems different somehow. How can a young student's eyes look like this?" Then Jinchul asks Jinwoo, "Would you happen to know anything about shadow?" "No, about the ant. Does this drawing remind you of anything, by any chance?" And when Jinwoo sees that drawing, he thinks to himself, "Whoa. This guy's better at drawing than I thought." And Jinwoo calls Jinchul, "Yes," and after hearing this Jinchul gets very surprised and says, "You recognize that thing? Then what is this ant monster? And who are you? Wait, It looks like I got too excited, you see. I've been investigating this case for a long time anyway. Did you say you recognize this monster? And then Jin-Woo says, isn't this the monster from that TV show with special effects? The one little kids like to watch. And after hearing such things from Jin-Woo, Jin-chul becomes a joke, and Jin-Woo says, is that all you wanted to talk about? Then Jin-chul says, yes. I've talked to your teacher, so you shouldn't get into any trouble because of this. And then Jin-Woo says, if you don't mind, may I have your drawing of the monster? And then Beru says, my liege, please do not ask for a crude and flimsy doodle like that. And now Jin-chul gives that drawing to Jin-Woo, and now Jin-chul starts leaving from there. Then Jin-Woo's knight general comes out, and says, my liege, why didn't you tell him the truth? So in response Jin-Woo says they say oblivion is a blessing from God. Even if his memory loss was the result of using God's tool. Then after this the chubby girls of the school surround Jin-Woo, and start saying to Jin-Woo, what was that about just now? Why did that police officer come to our school, Jin-Woo? And Jin-Woo says, I know him personally, and he had something he wanted to ask me about. And then another chubby girl says, wow, that's so cool. Your friend with a police officer. That must be nice. The boys said you have a pretty toned body, is that true? Do you play any sports, Jin-Woo? Then these chubby girls ask Jin-Woo many questions. Oh, I saw Jin-Woo running with the track and field club seniors yesterday. Whoa, look how broad his shoulders are. And just then someone comes there, and that chubby girl says to Jin-Woo, hey, you seem to be pretty popular. Even the police came to see you. I'm just messing with you a bit. Is that considered bullying, too? Will you report me to that police officer? What? You want to take this outside? You better turn that frown upside down while I'm asking nicely. And then somebody comes up behind that guy, and grabs that guy by the neck, and there's nobody else there. Our captain comes up, and he says, what business do you have with our beloved track and field ace? And then Jin-Woo says, Captain, what are you and Gushik doing here? So the captain says, we came to stop our ace from beating these 4 idiots to a pulp. Jin-Woo says, please stop joking around. Then captain comes in front of Jin-Woo, and says, we forgot to tell you that we're holding a welcome party for the new club members. You and Young-il are free today, right? Then we'll see you two after school. Jin-Woo asks, Captain, and Gushik, where are you taking them? And the captain says, I don't know. What should we do with them? Should we take them for a light jog around the track? Do you want us to have a serious talk with them? It's all right, I'll make sure they don't interfere with the competition. And then Jin-chul comes there, and stops Jin-Woo and says, can we continue our conversation from earlier? And Jin-Woo agrees to talk, and the captain says, don't take too long. We'll keep young Gil hostage until you show up to the welcome party. And at a quiet place both of them come, and Jin-Woo says, my friend's life is on the line, so I can't stay long. What did you want to talk about? And then Jin-chul says, Mr. Sung, it really is you, really it is very emotional scene. Then after this, we go back some time, where Jin-chul was talking to Jin-Woo, and now starts leaving from there, thinking in his mind, it was a seemingly insignificant incident. But some of the most significant events in history are said to have started from such incidents. It was stupid of me to come here after all. And then suddenly Jin-chul hears a voice, do you trust me, Mr. Woo? And then after hearing this, Jin-chul is a little confused. He looks back, but he doesn't see anyone. Then he again hears voices, yes, I do. Then I hope you'll believe what I'm about to show you. And some pictures start forming in his mind. Sung Jin-Woo. That's the name of the student I just met. And Jin-chul feels immense pain, and then the memories flashing before Woo. Jin-chul's eyes connected the past to the present. He saw himself in the world that he had forgotten through Sung Jin-Woo's eyes, and he recalled the story of the gates, magic beasts, hunters, rulers, and monarchs. Good lord. Do you plan on fighting against them all by yourself, Mr. Sung? Because the memories of higher beings aren't affected by the flow of time. And now Jin-chul remembers all the things, and then Jin-chul asks Jin-Woo, how long were you fighting the monarchs in the dimensional rift? And Jin-chul is thinking in his mind, the record states that Mr. Sung has been gone for 2 years, but there's no way he would have defeated those monarchs in such short time. And when Jin-Woo tells 27 years, And after hearing this, Jinchul gets very surprised and says, "Do you regret it at all?" But Jinwoo says, "No, no matter how many times I'm presented with the decision, I'd make the same choice each time." And Jinchul says, "Well, it looks like you're enjoying your life now." Then Jinwoo says, "Yes, I'm happy with it. Aside from the fact that I have to keep altering my physical body because I can't age anymore." And Jinchul is thinking in his mind, the power of immortality has elevated Mr. Sung to the status of a god. Yet even with such enormous power, he has chosen to live like a normal human, and Jinchul says to Jinwoo, "Have you thought about what you want to in the future?" So Jinwoo says, "I haven't thought of anything specific yet." Then Jinchul tells Jinwoo, "Then, why don't you join us?" And Jinwoo says, "That you mean in the police?" So Jinchul says, "Yes. The fellows who have been showing up at our station recently were scared for their lives because of your shadow monsters." And after hearing this, Jinwoo says, "But if I join the police, the other officers won't have anything to do." But Jinchul says, "And that is just the kind of world that we're striving to create." So Jinwoo says, "Let me think about it." And now Jinwoo starts leaving from there, and Jinchul says to him, "I'll look forward to hearing your answer." So Jinwoo says, "Please don't. I know that you're overworked and get paid next to nothing." And then now some time passed. And one day in April, with May just around the corner, something strange appeared out of the blue. And a guy calls the emergency center and says, "Hello. I'm a traveler crossing the desert." And then the girl asks, "You've reached the emergency call center. Has there been an accident?" So in response, this man says, "No, I'm not calling because I'm in trouble. I called because I wanted to report what I saw." And the girl asks more questions. "Is your situation urgent? Should we send someone to help?" And this man says, "I don't know if I should call this urgent. To be honest, I'm not sure how to explain this either." So this girl says, "Sir, you need to describe what is happening so we can respond accordingly." So in response, this man says that something is breaking. "I have seen a lot of cracks." So this girl thinks in her mind, "Are there any buildings in the desert where the cracks are coming?" The girl asks properly. Then this man tells that it's the sky. The sky is crumbling, and cracks are being read in the sky. Then after this, the scene shifts and the Knight General says, "You should approach problem 24 in a different way, my liege." And Jinwoo is also feeling strange. Then after this, the same agent comes and says, "It has been a while, Monarch of Shadows." So Jinwoo says, "Are the rulers responsible for this?" But this agent says, "It wasn't us. As you know, our method of traveling is different." Jinwoo says, being serious, "Then do you have any idea has sort of beings are approaching Earth?" And this agent says, "They are outsiders who have visited our world before. I believe they have changed course after being chased out by the heavenly army." But Jinwoo is not able to understand anything. Why are they headed here? So this agent says, "They are a tribe of giants who survive by consuming rocks on planets that support life. These vicious beings are called Titans in their own world. And it's obvious why they are coming to Earth." Jinwoo asks, "So they aren't our friends?" and so on. This agent can answer and no. Then Jinwoo says, "This never happened before the cup of reincarnation was used." So the agent says, "That's correct. Actually, they came to our world before you used the cup of reincarnation. And now, it is as if that never happened." So Jinwoo says, "So they were originally going to target your world, but now, they've changed course toward Earth. Then I must be the reason why." The agent says, "They followed the traces of your incredible power here. At least, that is what the rulers believe. And the rulers have already dispatched the heavenly army." And Jinwoo says, "No, they won't make it in time." And thinks to himself, "Even if the rulers start creating a gate to our world from theirs right now, it'll take at least a few years to complete. By that time everything would already be over. I'll take care of the Titans myself." Then after this, the scene shifts to a desert in the western part of the US. The US government sealed off the area around the desert and hired all kinds of specialists to figure out what was going on. But they were unable to arrive at any concrete answers. And there are some scientists talking, "Well, I'm not sure what's going on here. I've been researching extreme weather for 30 years now, but I've never seen anything like this." And the chief army says, "Don't worry, if anything comes out of there and tries to attack, We'll take care of it. And then suddenly there is some movement there, and all the army tanks are there. Now they start flying in the air, and everyone is surprised to see this, and the person doing this thing is our Jin-Woo, and Jin-Woo says, those weapons won't work on the Titans. Looks like the stage has been set. I can tell that our enemies are determined to devour this eye, and I can feel them breathing nearby. And now Jin-Woo summons his swords and says, bring it on. Now that you're here, you'll have to fight a monarch, who is also a hunter. Then after this all the tanks are now flying in the air, as well as all the army soldiers, and when the army chief sees all these things, he gets very scared, and don't understand what is going on here. Then when he looks at the sky, a portal opens in the sky, and from that portal come out Titans, whose number is very high, and those Titans, the leader says, what's this? Do you really believe that you can stop us Titans on your own? And then Jin-Woo says, do you think I'm alone? And then summons his entire shadow army. Then after this the scene is swift, and we are shown in the US President's office, that the US President is sitting, and thinking in his mind, the sky was clear and still, yet it cracked out of nowhere. And now, something has emerged from that crack. Nothing like this has ever happened before in the history of Earth. Is it all right to handle this unprecedented crisis without saying a word to the public? No. More importantly, can we even handle whatever came out of the sky? And then a man comes over there and says, Harrison, is what you just said true? So the army chief officer says, yes sir. The situation is already under control. I'll explain everything in the meeting room. Then now these people come to the meeting room, and the army chief officer says, please have a look at this video. This is footage taken from the drones and robots that were at the site. And on hearing the words of the army chief officer, all the ministers are very surprised and say, huh? What on earth is that? And who's that figure standing over there? A boy? Is he Asian? And then the president asks, who is that boy? Where did the soldiers go? Harrison. And why is that civilian standing among those creatures? So the army chief officer says, I would like to know the answer to that question as well. And now again the scene shifts, and all the shadow armies are there. He is now ready to fight with those Titans, and fights with them. And Jin-Woo also attacks all those Titans with great speed, and starts destroying them. Jin-Woo's power has increased a lot now, and those Titans are being eliminated in a very badass way. And Jin-Woo does one of his powerful attacks on those Titans, which destroys many Titans, and the leader of those Titans is very surprised to see this thing, and says, do you really think an attack like this is going to? And then Jin-Woo is ready to do his second attack on the same Titans with great speed, and storing his power, makes a dangerous attack on that Titan with his hands, so that this Titan's very worse yet. This Titan says again, I didn't know there was such a skilled fighter on a tiny, remote planet like this. But the fact that you must increase your size with your mana to maximize your power proves how primitive your species is. On the other hand, we Titans decrease our size like this when we are ready to use our full power. Of course, only the best Titan warriors can do this, like myself. But then suddenly from behind that Titan, Shadow General Knight attacks him with his sword, and hurts him a lot, and then Shadow General Knight says, it isn't too late to beg for our forgiveness. We will gladly show you mercy. And now the condition of all the Titans is getting worse, and now all the Titans are running away in fear, and all the Shadow Army are saying, apologies, my liege. Were you in the middle of a conversation with that Titan? And then Jin-Woo says, no, more importantly, these guys seem pretty arrogant. It looks like you'll have to put special care into teaching them a lesson. And after hearing this the Shadow General says, please leave it to me, my liege. And again the scene shifts and the president says, that boy. Have you found out who he is? And the president is thinking to himself, he's destroying those monsters like they're toys. It's like seeing a scene from a movie. I can't believe this happened in real life. And further says, is there a way for the CIA to find out his identity? And then a man says, well, it'll be impossible to do so using normal means, that is. The name of this officer is David Brennan, director of the CIA. This officer further says, so why don't we use an abnormal method to track him down? Don't you remember? There's someone who showed us truths that no one knew about by using an abnormal method. And after hearing this, the president gets shocked, and the officer further says, yes. I'm talking about Ms. Norma Selner. I'm sure she'll give us the answer we want. As always, the scene shifts again to the National Student Track and Field Competition preliminaries, and Jin-Woo is at the scene, and to his utter astonishment, when he looks ahead, there is a boy stretching, and then someone says to him from behind, "Hey, Kim Chul. What are you waiting for? Get ready."
A guy says, "Hey, Choi Tae-wong. I noticed you entered your first-year rookie in every event. You guys must be pretty desperate. I heard Woo Sang-gin took a few months off from running because of an injury. Does he suck go much now that a first-year student had to step in as your ace?" So the captain is saying to Jin-Woo, this first-year rookie is gonna run circles around you. Just wait and see. And then another guy says, "Wow. I see you've been honing your jokes you're running. Well, it just so happens that we also have a star rookie who joined us this year. Say hello, Chul." And Chul is feeling weird. And let me tell you this is Chul. He was a general of Jin-Woo before, and his name was Iron, and now Chul is thinking to himself, the urge. I feel it's overwhelming. Do I feel the urge to kneel in front of a guy my age who have never met before? Could it be that I'm afraid of a kid who's in the same grade as I am? And then Chul shouts very loudly and says, "I am not feeling well. But I feel perfect." And his teammates don't understand. What's the problem with Chul? And then Chul goes to Jin-Woo, and is thinking to himself, how could I possibly be afraid of this scrawny runt? He doesn't stand a chance against me. No way. Then after this Chul says to Jin-Woo, "Hey, what are you looking at? If you have something to say, we can take this outside the stadium." And then with Jin-Woo saying, "Whoa, are the two of you already fighting? The competition hasn't even started yet. Just make sure you don't kill him, Jin-Woo." And the captain says, "You're not gonna murder someone on the pay of the competition, or you just ignore him. Be the bigger man and let him live." And then Jin-Woo says, "Nothing like that will happen. Don't worry." The heroic captain says, "That's a promise. Jin-Woo, that guy had better walk back to the track on his own 2 feet, you hear?" Then after this Chul brings Jin-Woo to a lonely place, and says, "Hey. Do I look easy to you just because I'm standing in the same stadium as you in a school uniform?" And after hearing this, one of the shadow generals of Jin-Woo says, "It's nice to see him again like this. So the original Iron is alive again. Welcome back, Iron. To install my liege. With your permission, Bellion, will teach him a lesson so this sort of thing never happens again." And then suddenly Chul starts crying. So many tears fall from his eyes, and now he bows down in front of Jin-Woo, and Jin-Woo now starts to leave, and thinks to himself, he's living as Kim Chul the human now, not as one of my shadow soldiers. I should just leave him alone now. But Chul stops Jin-Woo and says, "Isn't this feeling of being in love with you?" And Jin-Woo gets very surprised to hear such words from Chul and says, "What the hell are you talking about?" Then after this Jin-Woo uses his power and then says, "Here's what happened. You picked a fight with me, but learned that I'm the son of your father's friend's friend by chance. So you're cool with me now. Also, try to be a better person from now on." Then after this Jin-Woo starts leaving from there, and when Chul regains consciousness, he is very shocked. He does not remember anything. Then after this, "You were also one of the people who fought to protect the world, so you should be proud of yourself." Then after this someone says, "The junior high-level preliminaries will begin soon. We ask that all participants gather inside the stadium." Then the scene is swift. "It's been a while. Selner." And Selner says, "Come on in, Dave." And then David walks in and says, "I smell food. Did I interrupt your meal?" So Selner says, "Actually, I have another guest here who earlier arrived." Then David says, "Oh, really? Then I'll get right to the point so I won't take up any more of your time." So Selner says, "Dave, I already told you that I haven't been able to see anything ever since he came to see me." Then David says, "Are you talking about that god of death again?" So Selner says, the answer to your first question is, yes, and the answer to your second question is, no. I'll answer the questions you're about to ask me, Dave. Then David says, wait. How did you know that how did I know what you were going to ask, even though I can't see the future anymore? Dave. The questions you wanted to ask me are about the past. All I did was look at the past and give you the answers I thought you'd want. So, may I go into more detail with my answers? You're right, Dave. I know who you wanted to ask me about, but I won't tell you anything about him. After hearing this, David is very shocked, and says, but Selner. You must know what that boy did. So Selner says, he's someone who could threaten our country. How could you refuse to? I know. That is exactly why I am saying this. You've also seen the footage from that day, haven't you? Then David says, I did see it. I saw a boy who didn't back away from all the vicious monsters in front of him. His power was scarily strong. But at the end of the day, he used it to save humanity. Then Selner says, would you believe me if I told you this wasn't the first time something like this happened? And after hearing this, David thinks in his mind, so something similar has happened before, and further says, are you saying that humanity has faced the threat of extinction multiple times, unbeknownst to us? Maybe Selner is right. Maybe that boy really is. And now David starts to leave, and says, can you guarantee that the boy from the footage isn't dangerous? So Selner says, I can. And David says, all right, then. I'll pretend I didn't hear you say that you know him. And Selner says, wait, Dave. I made some cookies. Would you like to take these with you? So David says, no, that's all right. I'll see you again sometime, Selner. And Selner says, goodbye, Dave. Then after this someone says, I don't like that geezer. Want me to handle him for you? So Selner says, won't you be banned from professional fighting if you get yourself in trouble again, Thomas? Hey. Can I also ask you something? Then Thomas says, aside from me, there should be plenty of other people doomed to die in accident. Especially car crashes. I'm guessing there are loads of deaths like that. But I was able to avoid getting in an accident, thanks to your prophecy. Why did you save me back then? So Selner says, because you did a lot of good things in your past life. So Thomas says, I did. But I'm Thomas Andre, the bad boy. No, the devil of the UFC. So, what did that boy from the video do to make that geezer look for him? So in response to this, Selner says, he saved the world. After hearing this, Thomas thinks in his mind, sometimes I can't tell if this lady is joking or being serious. Then again, that's why she's so interesting. Then where is this hero who saved the world, and what is he doing now? So Selner says, I'm not sure. Perhaps he's enjoying his youth somewhere out there. The junior high-level preliminaries will begin soon. We ask that all participants gather inside the stadium. Then after this a race is about to start. Then after this the running starts. Now there are many participants in it, who are running very fast to win this race, and in them our Cha-Hae. She is also running to win this race, and she goes ahead with great speed and wins this race, and becomes very happy. Then after this, now coming to a place is sitting, unbuttoning her socks and looking at her wound, which is in excruciating pain, and Cha-Hae is thinking to herself, I made it past the first preliminary round. But will I be able to run in the rest of the events with an injured ankle? This is so frustrating. Then after this Jin-Woo comes there, and says, are you going to hide your injury and keep running? And then Cha-Hae looks back. Jin-Woo is in front of her. Then Cha-Hae is thinking in her mind, a track and field student. Is he in high school? And then Jin-Woo says, if you run on a damaged ankle, you might end up spending a whole year just getting physical therapy. Then you'll be bad at running and regret your decision for the rest of your life. And Cha-Hae feels something familiar, and thinks to herself, that happened to someone I know. He smells nice. Thank you for your concern, but I. Then after this Jin-Woo says, can I help you? Could you stay still for a moment? Then Cha-Hae hesitates a bit, but slowly she starts to feel better, and the wound on her leg disappears, and Jin-Woo says, you only get one chance, you should do your best and run as fast as you can. Then after this Jin-Woo starts leaving from there. Cha-hae stops Jin-Woo and says, "Haven't we met somewhere before?" So Jin-Woo after some thought says to Cha-hae, "Let's run. If you can run faster than me I'll answer that question." And after hearing this Cha-hae says, "You're in high school, right? I saw you taking first place in all the preliminary events." So Jin-Woo says, "Really? Then I take it that you're throwing in the towel." Then Cha-hae says, They'll announce the results of the final round of the preliminaries soon. Could you answer my question once I beat your record? Even if it takes some time?" And Jin-Woo thinks to himself, she's younger now but she's still as innocent as ever. Then says, "All right. It's a deal." Then this is followed by a running match, but we are not told who won the match. But after the match is over, Jin-Woo now goes to meet Cha-hae, and Jin-Woo is thinking to himself, "I was busy studying for my college entrance exams till last month but maybe I should have put more effort into dressing up." And when Jin-Woo goes ahead, he likes a jacket, so he uses his power to wear that jacket, and then Jin-Woo asks his generals how I look, and Jin-Woo now waiting for Cha-hae. And then when Cha-hae comes, Jin-Woo already knows, so Cha-hae says, "It's like you have eyes in the back of your head, Jin-Woo. You took your college entrance exams last month, right? Congrats. Are you still going to the university you chose before? You got really good grades, so why are you set on going to that university?" So Jin-Woo says, "Because they offered me a full scholarship and the chance to study abroad and there's someone I really want to meet there." Then Cha-hae says, "It's not a woman, is it?" And Jin-Woo says, "That's a secret." Then Cha-hae says, "Do you remember your promise, Jin-Woo?" So Jin-Woo says, "What promise?" Then Cha-hae tells, "You promised to answer any question I have if I manage to run faster than you." And Jin-Woo says, "Right. I do remember." Then Cha-hae says, "Should we see which of us can reach that tree first?" And Jin-Woo says, "What do you want to ask me about?" Then Cha-hae says, "I want to know what you're thinking about, and whether the person you want to meet at that university is a woman or a man. I want to know if we've ever met before the track and field competition." Jin-Woo is very shocked after hearing this, but he agrees, and Cha-hae says, "Jin-Woo, if you like me, stay right here and don't move." Jin-Woo can't say anything after hearing this, and stops there, and then all the shadow generals he says, "Wow. Looks like our monarch lost. I can't believe he lost a bet. You shouldn't have agreed to this, my liege, my liege. You can still win if you start running now." Then Jin-Woo starts remembering Cha-hae things. "Are you on the mining team? Get away from there. That's where the boss lives." Jin-Woo has spent many good times with Cha-hae, which Jin-Woo now misses, and Jin-Woo is also very happy to remember how he spent time alone with Cha-hae, and now Cha-hae reaches that place, and says of one, and Jin-Woo smiles after hearing this, and then tells his shadow army that you all close your eyes, and the shadow army doesn't understand, but they agree, and Jin-Woo slowly now walks over to Cha-hae, and goes over to him and hugs him, which is very romantic.
So this part starts with the world of eternal slumber. Then a soldier says, "Greetings, Lord Tusk." And then the Tusk says, "Good morning," or rather, that is what I would like to say. But there is no night and day in the world of shadows. And then there comes Beru, and Beru smiles, and Tusk says, "I see it has been completed, Marshal Beru, so what do you think?" And Beru takes out something from him and says, "It's a robe that looks just like the hooded jacket our king wore recently." And Tusk becomes very happy and says, "I don't know how I'll ever repay you for this, Marshal." So Beru says, "You wanted to be more like our king. How could I turn a blind eye to your wish? If you like the robe, that is good enough for me." And Tusk wears it, and says, "I love it. So much so that I'm tempted to make all the shadow mages wear it as their uniform, Marshal." And Beru says, "About that robe, wouldn't be better to attach it to a cane so you can carry it around with more ease?" So the Tusk says, "That is an excellent idea, Marshal. Bearded dwarves, I hear you are the greatest craftsman in this world, can count on you to make my cane." Then a shadow soldier says, "Of course. Please leave it to us. We would be happy to have the opportunity to work with the holy materials bestowed upon us by our king. Then after this is the world of eternal slumber. It is a vast and almost limitless space that is home to nearly 10,000 soldiers who live in harmony while helping each other. 1 Street Bellion's Soldier Training Camp. 2nd. The Demon's Castle Player Training System. The Architect's Play Center. 3 Road Play Job Change Area. 4th. The Bearded Dwarves Workshops. 5th. Ashbourne's Battlefield. 6th. Anthill. 7th. Mines Magic Training Zone. 8th. Rest Area. 9th. Commercial Area. We soldiers are deeply connected to our king's mind. As our king grows more powerful, we begin to resemble him more. Though we only wanted and lived for destruction before, we are slowly becoming more like humans. Experiencing the wide variety of emotions humans feel is quite refreshing for us, as our heart were previously empty. I see soldiers dozing off training, chatting and even shouting and grabbing each other by the collar. All the soldiers are forming unique personalities and leading a variety of different lives in this world. I too am grateful to my king for introducing me to a brand new world that never could have imagined. I like to install my king. Then the Tusk says, "Oh, have you finished crafting it at last? How impressive. It looks magnificent." The Shadow Soldier says, "I believe you are the one who looks magnificent in your robe, General." And Tusk becomes very happy and says, "You have a good eye for fashion." Then some magicians come there, and after seeing this Tusk says, "What are you mages doing here?" So the magician says, "Lord Bellion sent us to this area." After hearing this, Tusk thinks in his mind, so there are mages among the new soldiers as well. It seems like a waste for them to stand around casting spells when they have such giant bodies. Then again, I suppose I've been doing the same thing. Then Tusk tells them, "Very well. Now, I shall describe my role in our great monarch's first battle against the Dragon King, and the contributions I made in the dimensional rift. So listen closely." Then someone comes here and says, "Why are you loitering around here, Tusk?" And after hearing this, Tusk looks back, and then says, "I was just about to tell the soldiers about my glorious achievements in this dashing robe that resembles our king's." "How dare you call it loitering? I love you, Marshal," says Igras. "I am always thankful for your loyalty." Then Tusk says, "Anyhow, what brings you here today?" Then Igras says, "It is almost time. Shouldn't all the soldiers that are generals and higher gather together to cheer on our king?" Then now these guys come to the window, and are looking at Jin-Woo from there, and are overjoyed, and the Tusk says, "Did our king finally reunite with Lady Hei-in?" So Igras says yes. And all the Shadow Army are overjoyed, and then Igras is lost in thought, and says, "I first met my current king inside the space my previous king created. My job was to test the human who entered that place. My previous king said he wanted to find out whether this human was worthy of being his vessel. I knew then, 21, that this was the final order my king had for me. I could tell that I would have to bid him farewell. After my king forgave the rulers, he lost interest in waging war. So when he suddenly showed interest in a mere human, I was sure he had a good reason for it. My king's commands were absolute. I did not question his intentions or protest his decisions. All I could do was agree to carry out his orders. With most of my power sealed away, I stood alone in the space where I was to test the human's abilities." And at that time Igras was thinking in his mind, "Do the people of this world call these spaces dungeons? This is how I used to look before I met my king. I know the world of eternal slumber holds limitless power, but I still can't believe the situation was recreated perfectly, even down to the sensations I felt back then. I'm impressed that the architect used my king's power to create such an accurate stage. This level of meticulousness must be shaping that human's body into a vessel that can hold my king's power. Is he already here? I can sense his presence behind that door. Come, human. I am waiting for you here. Maybe I'm acting a bit too arrogant. Won't he seem disrespectful? The human I'm about to test holds my king's consciousness. It seems inappropriate to sit on a throne before my king. Then where should I stand?" Then after this someone opens the door, and there comes Jin-Woo. Then Igras says, "Is he the one my king choose? Even if it didn't turn out to be my final job from my king, I had no intention of taking this battle lightly. If I thought the human wasn't good enough, I was going to kill him. All right, I shall test you." Knight Commander Igris the Red, to see whether you are worthy of sitting on this throne. Just like that. Our battle begins, but the result was disappointing. The human didn't possess the talent or skills to overpower the weaker version of myself from the past. He was busy barely dodging my sword, but at that time it was very difficult for Jin-Woo to fight with Igris. I won't be able to inflict any damage unless I get past that armor. This is my only choice, but Igris think that's time. Is he planning to defeat me with his bare fists? I admit that he is brave for a human. I do like the determination in his eyes, but does he have the skills to go with it? You may not have a body worthy of my king, but I think highly of your determination. This is utterly disappointing. How could someone so weak be worthy of being my king's vessel? Give up, you weak human. You are not worthy of that throne. Now, I shall grant you an honorable death through beheading. For the first and last time I felt relieved that my king had failed. If the human wasn't worthy of inheriting his power, it meant my king would be able to remain a monarch a little longer. I shall behead you in an instant and give you a painless death. But then I was startled by the following turn of events. Blocked my sword. I was more surprised by the way he refused to give up till the end despite the situation he was in. But Jin-Woo was not going to give up, not yet. I haven't lost yet. And Igris says, am I really going to lose like this? To a human who is weaker than me, at that. I see. Perhaps his eyes resemble my king's just a little bit. I was supposed to test his power against my own, and see if he was worthy. Therefore, I was definitely a few levels above him in terms of skill. Yet I was still defeated. Was it because I let my guard down? Or was this a miracle that resulted from the human's unwavering determination? I didn't know whether I should feel happy that my king had made the right choice. After the human defeated me, I became his servant. And he was good to me. In fact, there were often times when I was thankful for his kindness. And Jin-Woo says, Igris, we should be able to talk once you level up, right? And Igris further states, he was my master friend and colleague. The two of us fought many battles together. As my loyalty to him grew deeper, I missed my old master less. Although I was aware of this, I slowly accepted my new king. Afterward, the original army of shadows that was waiting to be called in the dimensional rift joined us, and my king's power grew even stronger. Among the soldiers was my old brother in arms, Bellion. But the joy of our reunion didn't last long. Eventually, even Bellion was also influenced by his loyal but brutish roommate. Once during the fight, Bellion says, "Hey, look at this black flag. Don't you think our king would like it if we put it up at the top of the castle?" So Beru says, "Are you serious?" And at that time Igris was thinking, when Bellion beat up Beru, I honestly relished his defeat a bit. And Beru says, "Is that flag for our king?" And, well, this was my new master's reaction. "Get over here, Beru. Put your head in the round. And why the hell did you put up that flag? So that was your idea, huh?" And Igris goes on to say, "Soon, we used our determination to fight our war against the monarchs. Our master became better at warfare, and we became stronger as well. Even after the cup of reincarnation was used to turn back time, the war continued. We fought for 30 years and destroyed our to install enemies. Eventually only the army of destruction was left." And this creature says, "Igris, you used to be one of the two wings of the army of shadows. Are you not ashamed that you are following the orders of a monarch who used to be a mere human?" So Igris tells, "Indeed, I had forgotten. I felt so honored to be with my new king that I hadn't thought about my previous king at all. I don't know when it happened, but at some point my previous king had completely vanished from my thoughts. To install my liege. Why? Didn't you tell him the truth?" So at that time Jin-Woo had said, "They say oblivion is a blessing from God. Even if his memory loss was the result of using God's tool, is that so? The blessing of oblivion. That's right. I don't have to think too hard about this. After all, this does not mean that I have forgotten my former king. Greed and iron have forgotten everything and are living as humans in this world's new timeline. But I am still by my king's side. It's just that my feelings for him have been transferred to my current king. I am a knight and my master's sword. I am one of the two wings that lead the army of shadows. And just once Igris said, "My liege, the first answer is the correct one for problem 14, not the second answer. Who else would be able to assist my king? Grand Marshal Belian, whose only advantage is his mountainous body? Or Marshal Beru, who may be smart but is an insect at the end of the day? I graduated from the Knights Academy with excellent grades, so I should be the one to assist my king." But Jin-Woo says, "But it says here that the correct answer to question 14 is the first answer. Can you bet your life on the second answer being correct?" But Igris wasn't fully conformed, so he checks in the book, and says, "I suppose I still have some training to do. I shall work harder to serve you better, my liege. I am my king's knight, as well as high sword. My king's battlefield is my battlefield. And because he has stepped foot into a new battlefield, it seems my glory days will continue for the time being."
Beginning of this part. Gates are giant holes through which magic beasts can enter. After defeating the dungeon boss, a hunter must escape through the gate within an hour. But I failed to do this, and was trapped inside the dimensional rift as a result. It was then that the rulers approached me. They entrusted me with their power and asked me to stop the monarchs. And finally the greatest fragment of brilliant light gave me a new order. And a super being says, "Protect the monarch of shadows." So in answer to this, so that's why I helped you. I didn't want you to see this side of me. I'm sorry, I missed you. Did you miss me? I mean, us? Yes, always, not a moment went by without thinking about you. You've become a fine young man. I would have liked to talk to you more. I wish I could have spent more time with you. I'm sorry I wasn't a better father to you. And now we go back in time. Good morning, Jin-Woo. And Jin-Woo looks at his father, and his father says, "Father? Don't you mean, Dad? What's wrong, Jin-Woo? Why are you crying?" There is something hidden inside Jin-Woo's father, and then after that Jin-Woo's father comes to another place, and says, "What did my son decide?" So the agent says, "The monarch of shadows decided to remain on Earth. He said every second he spends here is precious to him." Are you going to continue hiding the truth from the monarch of shadows? I mean, your son. He doesn't want anyone around him to remember what happened. And the agent says, "I see. Like father, like son. After I leave, the rulers will no longer get involved. That means this will be my last time visiting this world." This was quite an interesting experience. I was excited to see what would happen as we waited for the Monarch of Shadows to return. The rulers are grateful to the Monarch of Shadows, and you as well, Mr. Sung Il-won. Is there anything we can do for you? And after listening to the agent's words, Jin-Woo's father says, "Could you erase my memories of the time that disappeared?" So the agent says, "Of course. That is possible, but why would you want us to do something like that?" So Jin-Woo's father says, "It's really challenging to pretend not to remember anything in front of my son. He's very perceptive when it comes to these things. Also, I want to live as a normal father who worries about his son. To me, Jin-Woo is my precious son, not the Monarch of Shadows." Then the agent says, "Very well, once you leave this cafe, your memories of the time that disappeared will be completely erased from your head." And agent starts going ahead and says, "You won't remember what happened, but I'd like to wish you peace in the days to come." And then the scene shifts, and we move to another scene where Jin-Ho is sitting, thinking to himself, "I'm so nervous that I don't have an appetite. This is my first time attending a freshman welcome party, but what's going on? I grew up as the second son of a well-to-do family, but this frozen pork belly restaurant feels familiar to me for some reason." And Jin-Ho's friend says, "Relax, Jin-Ho. You're acting like we're about to swallow you whole. Like I said, stop being so formal. It's not like the olden days anymore. You can relax around me, but be careful around the other upperclassmen, just in case. There's this one upperclassman in our department who's a little scary. It's not that he likes to intimidate his juniors or anything. But her presence alone is pretty daunting, even when he's just standing next to you." Then Jin-Ho thinks in his mind, "Well, he can't be as bad as my father." And Jin-Ho's friend says, "Hey, remember the track star who got famous recently? was her name, Cha Yoon-young, so Jinho says, "Oh, are you talking about Cha Hae-in?" Then Jinho's friend says, "That's right, Cha Hae-in. Anyway, you've heard about her, right? She's that upperclassman girlfriend. Speak of the devil, here he come. Anyhow, why isn't anyone coming to our table? Maybe I should go talk to some cute freshman." And that man goes directly and sits next to Jinho and his friend. Then Jinho gets very nervous, and thinks in his mind, it's the upperclassman. There are so many other empty seats here. Why do he have to sit right in front of me? And Jinho friend says, "I'll go tend to the other upperclassmen." And the man says, "Here, drink this." And after hearing this, Jinho thinks in his mind, he filled a regular water glass with soju for my first drink. This upperclassman sure is scary. What do I do? I'm a lightweight. And when Jinho realizes this is just soda. And the man says, "You're a lightweight, so you should stay away from alcohol. You and I can just drink the soda, and why are you being so nervous around me, Jinho? Just relax and talk to me normally. What's the matter? Do you want me to go away?" And after hearing this, Jinho gets very shocked. But he thinks in his mind, why does calling him sir feel so natural? Anyhow, when did I tell this upperclassman my name? And this person is none other than Jin-Woo, and both of them cheers together. And after this the scene shifts, and Jin-Woo is talking on the phone and someone is saying to him, "Sir, why didn't you come to the study room?" Then Jin-Woo says, "I have to do something today." "Oh, and Jinho, something important came up, so it would be great if you could sit in for me at my afternoon class." "What? But all the professors know who you are, so they'll notice if you're absent." "Where are you right now?" "I'm going on a field trip to our university's hospital." "What? But our major has nothing to do with the medical field. Why are you going to the hospital?" So Jinwoo says, "I'm counting on you, Jinho." And Cha Hae is coming from the front, and thinking in her mind, "I was happy that I got accepted into a university in Seoul, but is my Busan accent too thick? Getting used to the standard dialect's hard enough. On top of that, so many of the nursing terms I have to learning in English." But Jinwoo doesn't give any response, and starts moving forward, so Cha Hae says, "Excuse me. Haven't we met somewhere before?" Jinwoo refuses, and smiling, walks away. Then Cha Hae strikes a pose very hotly, to woo Jinwoo. But Jinwoo, it has no effect, and Cha Hae feels very bad, and she says, "Why did I suddenly talk to a stranger? Does he think it was trying to flirt with him? Or maybe he thinks I was trying to get him to join a weird cult." And again the scene shifts, and this time we are shown a hospital scene, where some guards are protecting a wardroom, and a doctor walks into that wardroom, and an old man says, "Could you help me sit up?" And the doctor helps the old man, and the doctor asks the old man, "What's in that bottle?" So in response the old man says, "A young man dropped it off just now. It was the strangest thing, my bodyguards are right outside the door. Yet somehow, he got in and left this bottle here without anyone noticing him. And the explanation he gave me was even harder to believe. He said that I fought monsters alongside him in time that no longer exists. And that he brought me that bottle over there as thanks. After that, he disappeared. Like a mirage, as if he was never here to begin with. He told me that I'll be completely cured of my illness if I drink the liquid in this bottle." And after hearing all this the doctor says, "Sir, you don't really believe that, do you?" But the old man says, "I'm tired of fighting this disease, doctor. What does it matter whether he was telling the truth or not? Let me ask you one thing, if I don't drink this, how much longer will I am able to live? If something happens to me after I drink this, have them write this on my tombstone. Here lies the chairman Go Gun-hee, who battled his illness till the end without giving up." And then after this, the old man opens the cap of that bottle, and drinks it. Then now he rests. "I'd like to rest now." And the doctor says, "Of course, sir. Please call me immediately if you have any problems." And the doctor leaves. Then after this the old man now rests, and then sunlight gently falls on him, and looking out the window the old man says, "The sun feels so warm, it looks like winter won't be coming just yet."
My name is Antares. I am the first and strongest monarch who was born from the darkness. I am the king of all dragons, as well as a symbol of fear and destruction. That's right. Those who know me call me the Dragon King, with reverence and respect. But one day while I was hiding in the dimensional rift and preparing to invade Earth with my 10 million soldiers, I opened my eyes and found myself inside a human's body. Why does this human look so weak? How pathetic. This human's name is Sung Jin-Woo. He is a young man who is an E-rank hunter in a country called Korea. Although he is weak, he has been awakened as a hunter. Thanks to that, he must have come close to death several times. Yet it appears that he still hasn't given up on being a hunter. Because of his mother's illness. I could have easily healed a petty disease like that with my magic. Then the phone rings, and a girl says to Antares, "Where are you, Mr. Sung? It's almost time for our raid, but I don't see you here yet. Are you going to be late again?" To install tardiness is the act of arriving later than the designated time due to one's failure to be punctual. I simply cannot let such a thing happen. Then Antares asks, "Where are you?" So she says, "Where do you think we're all waiting in front of the gate right now? And why are you talking to me so rudely all of a sudden, Mr. Sung?" And Antares is very confused. I must focus. So I can find the place where this arrogant woman's voice I coming from. And then Antares says, "I found you." But this girl does not understand and says, "Excuse me? What do you mean, you found? What the heck was that about?" And suddenly Antares comes behind that girl and says, "Am I late? I asked if I arrived late." And after hearing this girl gets very scared. And then after this an old man comes up behind Antares and says, "Sung, what's up? Have you had anything to eat yet?" And Antares says, "Who is this man? Is he my subordinate?" Then after this Antares goes to a shopkeeper, and asks him for a coffee, but the shopkeeper says the coffee is over, so Antares snatches the coffee he has in his hand, and says no problemas, and drinks that coffee, and say, "The strong take from the weak. That is the way of life for us monarchs." And some people say, "Don't you think Sung seems a little odd today?" I agree. The look in his eyes is a bit scary. He's been giving me the chills since he got here. And then suddenly someone tells at Antares, "Jin-Woo, you're hurt again. What happened to your face this time?" And Antares thinks, why are all the humans here so noisy? And then someone makes an announcement. "Listen up everyone. I'm sure we're all looking to have a good time and hit the jackpot today. That said, even though I'm not in any place to say this, I'm thinking about taking charge and being the party leader. How's that sound to everyone?" And then everyone says, "Song, you're the highest rank out of everyone here. I approve. We can count on Song. Let's see those skills." And Antares thinks that gate seems quite suspicious. All the gates that appear on Earth are being created by the rulers. So why do I feel the energy of a monarch coming from that gate? I better investigate this. I will be going as well. So the song says, "Of course you are Sung. Sung, keep behind us so you don't get hurt. Take it easy." And Antares thinks about them. That man is weak. Yet he seems to be a loyal subordinate who cares about his master's safety. And Antares goes inside that gate now. And then after that, as soon as he goes in, he's faced with monsters, which Antares is going to destroy very dangerously, that too very fast. And when these people see all these things, these people are very surprised and say, "Seriously? Doesn't Sung seem different today? Well, maybe the magic beasts in this dungeon are just that weak, but I can't even follow his movements with my eyes." And Antares is leading them all and says, "What are you waiting for? We must go this way." So the song says, "Wait, we should decide these things with a vote." But Antares makes her unconscious, and says, "Who else ways to vote on this? It looks like the rest of you are willing to follow me." And then they all get scared of Antares, and they go inside and talk to each other. Aren't we venturing in too deep? How long have we been walking? For about 40 minutes now. The gate closes 1 hour after the boss is defeated, so we'll have about 20 minutes leeway to heap back. Why is there a door at the end of this cave? Even though this is a first for me, seems rather strange. I feel like this place is dangerous. And Antares is also listening to all this and thinks. It seems like they're nervous. Well, I agree that this place will be dangerous. I myself can sense the daunting energy coming out of that room. And Antares goes ahead, and opens that door, so everybody stops him, so Antares grabs one of his own people, and throws it inside that door, and this guy gets really scared. And says, "What do you think you're doing?" So Antares says, "Nothing happening. Let us head in." Then they all go inside and get very surprised. The torches lit up. Nice. Never seen anything like this dungeon. Now, let's all split up and take a look around. That statue's super huge. That's not the boss, sit. It's that one, actually wait. Isn't this writing on the stone slate a runic inscription? Does anyone know how to read it? And Antares thinks, these fools. Why can't a single one of them read something so simple? Then Antares tells them, the commandments of the Kartanon temple. And Cha-Haya says to Antares, "Hey, Jin-Woo, over there. That huge statue." But Antares pushes him, and then we are informed about the rule. 1. Thou shalt worship God. 2. Thou shalt praise God. 3. Thou shalt prove thy faith. Those who fail to obey these commandments shall not be spared. And then suddenly the eyes of a statue open, and dangerous energy comes out of that statue, seeing which everyone is scared, but Antares says happily, "You dare try to take me down with such little power?" And then with great speed he moves forward to attack that statue, and there is a huge explosion. All the people who are there are very surprised to see this, and with that power they all start having problems. Then Antares prepares an attack of his own. The breath of destruction, and this attack is very dangerous, and Antares says, "Now this is true power." And all the statues there, they attack them together, but Antares doesn't care. He says, "You insolent puppets. You're too slow." And in a very dangerous way, all those statues are being destroyed. But because of this thing, all the people who are there have a problem, and they say, "Wait. Don't you think there's another way to do this? What about those commandments from earlier?" And Antares says, "Is this all you've got? This wasn't even difficult enough to be a warm-up." Then the elder statue gets very angry and says, "Who in the world are you? You have ruined all my preparation." But Antares silences him and does many attacks on him, due to which the statue has a lot of problems. "I didn't come here to speak with that fake the one. Strings from the shadows. Show yourself, you coward." Then this older statue says, "Monarch of destruction. We were destined to meet like this. I shall put an end to our all-fated relationship here, once and for all." And Antares says, "I like the sound of that. Come, our battle won't end easily." And proceeds to attack him, and then suddenly Jinwoo's eyes open. He's so shocked, he doesn't understand what it was that he saw, and says, "What was that? Was it all just a dream?" And then after this we are told, "There's a rumor I've been hearing since I started working at the police station, and even after I applied to be an officer at the Criminal Investigation Unit this year. It's the rumor that there is an officer in the Violent Crimes Division at Jungbu Police Station nicknamed the Ghost. And it is Constable Lee Se-won, rookie officer, because he catches not only the culprits of his own cases but also those of other unsolved cases. His arrest rate is a whopping 200%. That's why they say even the most vicious felons turn into docile lambs before the Ghost. He's already a legend among all the policemen in the area." And Lee is thinking, there was even a rumor that YG in a Rivi Unan A he refused to be promoted so he could focus on working out in the field. Although I doubt anyone would really turn down a promotion like that. And then the senior officer comes over there and says, "Are you the rookie who's starting today? There's no need for you to be so nervous. After all, we're family now here, this coffee is on me." Then Lee says, "The captain told me that I'll be working with Officer Sung." Then the senior officer says, "Yo mean, the Ghost. He's so elusive that we gave him that nickname, but at some point, The officers at the other station started calling him that, too. You've also heard of him, right? I actually got that coffee you're drinking for him. Speak of the devil, there he is. And after seeing this, Officer Lee thinks, so that's the ghost of Jungbu police station. Then the senior officer says, hey, are you heading out to work? So Jin-Woo says, for now. Is this the rookie? Then the senior officer says, yes, that's right. This is Lee Se-won. So Jin-Woo says, then I'll go teach him a thing or two. So the senior officer says, all right, go ahead. And Lee thinks, is he angry because I drank his coffee? And says to Jin-Woo, sir. Why, where are we going? So Jin-Woo asks, why did you become a police officer? So Lee says, because I wanted to catch criminals. Then Jin-Woo says, yeah. That's what we're going out there to do. I became a police officer for the same reason. You're coming with me, right? And Lee thinks, I can't believe I'm going to learn how to catch criminals from the ghost himself. A few days later, Criminal Investigation Unit and some officers say, why does this guy look so beat? It's because he went around catching petty criminals with Officer Sung all day. And Jin-Woo is thinking, I heard that rookie caught an armed robber with his bare hands once. I had fun teaching him today. So Igris says, you should just leave such petty work to us, my liege. Then a girl is telling an officer, I'm telling you, Jin-Yi never would have committed suicide, officer. So the officer says, I understand how you must feel as her friend, but I already explained everything to you. All the evidence suggests that. Then the girl says, just look at this tent. Does this look like something a suicidal person would send 3 hours before killing herself? So the officer says, look, miss. Most people commit suicide spontaneously rather than planning it in advance. Then Jin-Woo comes there and says, may I have a look at the evidence? And the officer says, Officer Sung, please don't make things more complicated for me. And we are told about this case. A woman was found dead in a bathtub with a severe wound on her wrist. The cause of her death was blood loss. The knife used to cut her wrist was found in the bathroom and the weapon only had the victim's fingerprints on it. The victim seemed to have a bright personality on the outside. But in truth she was suffering from depression. And Jin-Woo says, I don't see anything odd here, but I'll go investigate, just in case. And the officer thinks, looks like the ghost sniffed out something again. Doesn't this bastard ever get tired? Then Jin-Woo tells that girl, hello, I'm Officer Sung Jin-Woo. May I speak to you for a moment? Then after this, at night Jin-Woo goes to the place where the girl had committed suicide. And Jin-Woo looks at that place carefully, and says, in the past I needed the body to do this. Bye now. And using his power, brings that girl back to life. And as soon as the girl gets scared when she sees Jin-Woo in front of her alive, Jin-Woo says, don't be afraid. You've escaped the cycle of life and pain. Did you take your own life? Then after this the scene shifts, and a man says, who could it be at this hour? And Jin-Woo says, this is Officer Sung Jin-Woo from the Violent Crimes Division at Jungbu Police Station. I have a few questions regarding your daughter. Could you spare me some of your time? Then this guy comes out and says, is the investigation over? How did my daughter die? So Jin-Woo says, we haven't discovered anything new yet. I just wanted to ask a few questions about your daughter. Could you come with me, sir? So this man says, of course. I'll do anything if it helps you uncover the truth about my daughter's death. Then these people move to another place and Jin-Woo says, what kind of student was Miss Seo Jin-Yi? Can you think of anyone who might have resented your daughter? So this man says, no, not at all. Jin-Yi never would have done anything to make someone dislike her. She was such a kind and innocent child. I'm sorry, officer. I still can't believe my daughter died like that. And Jin-Woo says, you must have been very fond of Miss Jin-Yi. Then this man says, of course, as you must know, Jin-Yi wasn't my biological daughter. But I treated her like my own daughter. No, I give her even more love because of it. If only she had told me she was depressed, or going through hard time. Then Jinwoo says, "We found a record while we were going through your daughter's belongings. Please listen to it. And now we know the truth. The recording contained evidence of the terrible abuse Seo Jinyi had suffered in the hands of her adoptive father since she was young. She had run far away from him, but he had started contacting her again, demanding to see her. And so, she chose death in the end." Then this man says, "Why? Are you making me listen to this? If you were going to arrest me, you could have brought a few more officers along and put me in handcuffs." Then Jinwoo says, "You have two choices. One is to admit all your crimes and surrender yourself to the police. And the other, instead of admitting your guilt, you can pay the fair price for what you did." And this man says, "How much would you like?" Then Jinwoo says, "Looks like you've already given me your answer. Listen carefully. The truth is, this place isn't the world you were living in. It's a different world that I temporarily modeled after the outside world. You are in the land of the dead, where no living creature can set foot without the master's permission. This is the world of eternal slumber. That is the name of the prison that will hold you from now on." And this man fearfully says, "Wait. What are you talking about, officers?" And Jinwoo says, "Think carefully. Can you remember how you got here?" And this man thinks, "How I got here? Now that I think about it, this cafe is lit so brightly. So why isn't there anyone else here, other than this strange officer and myself?" And this man gets very scared and says, "Who are you? This is just a dream, right? It has to be." And tries to escape from here, but Jinwoo doesn't let him escape with his shadow power, and dies in that very brutal way. Then the shadow of that girl comes and she says thank you to Jinwoo, and Jinwoo says, "Is there anything else you want to say?" So this girl says, "If it isn't too much trouble, may I ask you for a favor?" Then after this Jinwoo comes to that girl's friend, and this girl says, "This is from Jinyi." So Jinwoo says, "The name written on the letter is yours, right? I'm sure Miss Jinyi would have wanted this gift to find its rightful owner. Judging by the situation, it's very unlikely that this was a homicide. Our investigation will also end soon." And the girl says, "Is there really? Not even a 1% chance that it wasn't a suicide? So Jinyi really?" Then this girl starts opening this gift, and Jinwoo is thinking, if Jinyi's adoptive father hadn't sent her that nasty text an hour before she slit her wrist, would she and her friend have celebrated her birthday as planned?
At the beginning of this part, Jinho says, "I'm planning to propose to Jaina." And Jinwoo gets shocked to hear this, but Jino further says, "I'm serious. I'm going to do it today. But do you think Jaina will like this ring? I actually prepared a bunch of different gifts because I didn't know what she'd like. The truth is, we're building a new building on our company property. When Jaina completes her residency, she will be able to open her own clinic." Then Jinwoo says, "Jaina, you don't have to work so hard to earn her affection. You're a good guy, so show her your truth." Jinho becomes happy after hearing this and hugs Jinwoo. After this, Jinwoo comes to his house, where his family is waiting for him, and Jinwoo says, "I don't know. All we can do is wait and see. Anyway, I'm surprised Song's still up at this hour." And Billion says, "Why can't we teach our little king how to wield a sword? Does that make any sense to you, Igris?" And Igris says, "Billion, in this world, those with academic provenance are the ones who hold power." Jinwoo exclaims, "Hey, I'm not against Soho learning swordsmanship or studying. But why don't you worry about it after he learns how to walk?" Then the next day, Jinwoo comes to work and tells Jin Chul, the chairman of the Hunters Association, Chairman Go Gun-hee, is in critical condition. Then Jinwoo goes to the hospital to meet Go Gun-hee, and upon seeing Jinwoo, Go Gun-hee says, "I finished everything I needed to finish thanks to the 10 extra years you gave me. I actually have a favor to ask of you. You told me that day that we fought together in another world. Are you able to show me that world? I would like to see what happened there with my own eyes. I would like to see what happened there with my own eyes." I want to know what I was like there and what you were like as well. But Jin-Woo says, these are not pleasant memories to remember. And Go Gunna he says, I just want to recover my lost memories. And then Jin-Woo, holding Go Gun-hee's hand, reminds him of everything, and seeing those memories, Go Gun-hee has tears in his eyes, and at the same time, he becomes very happy that he has done a good job. Life is lived. I'm so glad I was reunited with you like this. It was truly an honor to have worked with young heroes like you. Even if my body becomes cold, these glorious essays will stay with me in this warm setting. And remembering those memories, Go Gun-hee takes his last breath there, and Jin-Woo says, you dedicated your life to serving many people, and that makes you a hero as well. Then, after this, Jin-Woo leaves for home. On the way, he gets a call from Cha Hee-in, and Cha Hee-in says, Soho is flying in the air, I don't understand coming, what do I do? So Jin-Woo says, don't panic. I'll be there in a while, and I'll teach Soho how to control his powers. Cha Hee-in is shocked to hear that Jin-Woo can fly. And Billion says, since our little king can fly, he should learn how to fight in the air in advance. But Igris say, nonsense. This means he will become a pilot in the future. And Chia Hee-in, please hurry home, Jin-Woo. Then, after this, Baru tells his story, there's no food. The children are devouring each other. There is no more food left in this land to feed the denizens of this kingdom. The denizens of this kingdom need the strongest soldier to lead them. For the kingdom. Make all the enemies who cross us tremble in fear. There are no kings on the outside. And so I was born to kill the living. Are there any more kings? Even though all living creatures looked at me with fear, are you the king of the humans? That was the first time I saw it. To be met with someone who wasn't afraid of me. It's been a while since that time. Since a human who doesn't fear me appeared. And Baru is very surprised. How strange. Why does the young monarch always seek me? There's no way he doesn't like you. An ant much bigger than a human who can walk, fly, and talk. Just what kind of child wouldn't like that? So the young monarch likes me because I am big and I can talk and fly. Then, after this, the scene is sorted. Marshal, you've arrived. I wish to make a minor adjustment to the plans. What? But Marshal. The plans to create the holy statue of Our Lady were set several months ago so that you, sir, could commemorate the 32nd birthday of our monarch. No, I'm not saying that I would cancel the plans, just simply making changes to them. Do that like this, and this like that. Oh yes, this is most certainly possible. I think we will get a much more exquisite outcome as a result, Marshal. But I think we will need more members than we currently have. Would it be acceptable to mobilize the demons of the demon castle made by the architect? Kiki, very well. Then I will take care of some business first. Then, after this, some people came to Jinwoo's house to take revenge on Jin-Woo because Jin-Woo had shut down whatever business they had. After that, these people barge into Jinwoo's house, but Baru comes and kills them in one fell swoop, and Baru says, the young monarch has just begun to nap. She must be disturbed by mere intruders. This familiar gaze, these familiar emotions having our liege's trust and being liked by the young monarch is certainly great. But this isn't bad either. The facial expression of prey before their predator is always like this. Then, after this, the scene is sifted, and all the shadow soldiers are very happy. Our Lady will definitely be pleased after seeing this majestic and beautiful statue. In the far future, if the young monarch can step foot in this place, it will certainly be a meaningful present, and at the same time, Soho is also there, seeing which Baru gets very surprised, and then, a few years later. Amres Song. Can you please take a look at this picture? This was drawn by Suicho. What's wrong with this drawing? The classroom teacher of Soho had told him to draw a friend in his sketchbook. Now that I look at it, the ant is standing on 2 feet. At the back, there are more drawings. Those were drawn when Sooho was asked if he had any other friends. The next one is Suho drawing his interpretation of family. And the last page is My Home, that Sooho drew, and that's also the reason why I've asked to meet you today. We've taken care of many kids so far, but this was our first time seeing a child express their friends and family like this. When his teacher asked why he drew the house's base in that manner, Soho said it was because friends, family, and a large dad were there. At first, I suspected abuse, but given Suho's intelligence, that didn't seem to be the case. Soho might have a unique talent in art, and when Jin-Woo sees Suho's drawing, he says, "Where can you find a 5-year-old who can draw ants like this? To think our son would have talent in art. Look at the last page to see what I mean." Soho said that there's a large dad inside the dark underground. Does anything come to your mind? Why are you laughing? Ah, it's nothing. I just remembered something funny, and the other kids are apparently scared of Soho. They go pale just by seeing Soho approach them. Even though he has never bullied or yelled at them. Children may have detected the monarch's power because they have much purer senses than adults. The children must have avoided Soho because they felt the shadow of death from him. It's just that the power came to me and did not turn out to be a disaster. Because it's originally a horrible weapon hidden inside their most loyal subject by the god of the other world in order to destroy everything that they had created. If the powers of the shadow monarch that were passed down unexpectedly grow larger inside Soho, it would be impossible for him to live an ordinary life. There is a need for me to restrain his powers until he reaches an age where he can at least exercise perfect control. Until Soho can live among other people without any issues, I'll need to temporarily seal away Suho's powers and his memories of the shadow soldiers. Here, Suho drew you. My liege. May I be permitted to say my farewells to the young monarch? Young monarch, I shall bid you farewell on behalf of all the shadow soldiers. It was an honor to serve you, young monarch. Until we meet again, I pray for your good health. Young monarch, I hope that you adhere to your study schedule even if I'm not there. Please be well, young monarch. And then Jin-Woo erases Suho's memories using his power, and then a few years pass, and Suho is all grown up now. Then, after this, the scene is sorted. High school is similar to the jungle world. New classroom, new classmates. Then there's the bully, Lee Yuncheol high school freshman. With just one look, every decision has been made. Who will be your friend and who will be your inferior? Let's get along. I heard he played around in the next neighborhood, but there's nothing special to him. Well, being friends with him is not a bad thing. I think the hierarchy here has pretty much been sorted, but the problem is that guy. And when Suho sees this boy gets extremely nervous and starts getting scared of Suho because of a few days ago. This boy and his friends were troubling another boy. And all the people together were beating that boy, and then Suho came there and stopped them. Then they started threatening Suho, and after hearing this, Suho started beating them all one by one, which made all of them very bad, and since then this boy has been very scared of Suho, as well as the whole school. This also spreads, how should I put it? I feel like I know about more surprising and exciting things. Should I go to the internet cafe now that I'm bored? The door. Why isn't it opening? And then suddenly time stops, everyone freezes, and Suho is shocked to see this, time has slowed. How did this happen? And then suddenly, a gate opens in front of Suho. And what's that? What should I do right now? Mom always said that I took after Dad. What would Dad do if this was his family? But when Suho goes inside that gate, the route to go back is blocked. I have no choice but to go forward. And as soon as Suho goes inside that gate, he is very surprised to see the things inside there, and at the same time, that gate also closes. After going a little further, Suho sees some weapons, and at the same time, a window opens in front of him, giving him information about those weapons. is it instructing me to select a weapon? There are restrictions on selecting them based on level, so can I switch to a higher grade item if I increase my level? What's this? Are they on display here because they're all bad? Well, who would want to use these weak-looking weapons? In this corner, there is a gauntlet. This'll be fun. Since knives are cliché, shall I play around with these? I feel a little enhanced. And Suho wears one of those weapons. Name, attack type gauntlets, rank for usage, level 1, E, type, gloves attack power 4, and Suho's window opens, status window, name, Sung Suo. Class, none title, Little Monarch. HP, 100, 3300. Level, 1, fatigue, 0, MP, 10, 1600. Strength, 10, 40. Stamina 10, 40. Agility, 10, 40. Intelligence 10, 40. Sense, 10, 40. Remaining points, cannot be used. Who's there? Is this place like the castle's basement? And then suddenly a statue moves and attacks Suho, but Suho sees that attack and stops it, but Suho gets a little scared too, but from one attack of Suho, the idol is gone, and Suho gets a notification too. You have leveled up. Can these things move? Wait. Were there many of them on the way here? And now there are many idols in front of Suho who are coming forward to attack him, so now Suho also gets ready to fight with all those idols, and Suho starts fighting with them, and they defeat him very easily. Also, now Suho's current level is 19. If I defeat those armored monsters, I'll level up. I think I'm getting stronger as well. This really feels like a game. Perhaps it is because of this that I am no longer struggling, even if they come at me in groups. But are the levels of these guys higher than mine? How was I able to defeat them when I was level 1? Is it due to this power? Suho's power of now, strength, 28, 40. Stamina 28, 40. Agility, 28, 40. Intelligence, 28, 40. Sense, 28, 40. Remaining points, cannot be used, I want to become a little stronger. And now Suho gets to the place, opens that big door, and looks inside, there's Igris sitting there, and Suho thinks, this is the boss, looking mighty strong. Then Igris, after that, raises the sword and stands up, and now Suho thinks, first I should attack. But Igris attacks Suho with great speed and finishes Suho in one blow. Then Suho's eyes open somewhere else, and Suho is very scared. What? I'm alive. Is this the place I started from? I thought I died. Anyhow, do I need to go down the same path again? One of the white flames disappeared. I'm sure all three of them were lit in the beginning. Is it just a coincidence? No, this is not a coincidence. Since my level has increased, let's change my weapon. Name, Needle Knuckle Type Gauntlets, rank for usage, level 15, C, type, gloves attack power 27, critical rate 10%, I need to be more careful. If all three flames go out, I don't know what will happen afterward. That Black Knight. He's too strong. Isn't this overbalanced? I'm angry. At this rate, I won't be able to beat him. He appeared to be using that weapon. If what he has is the real one, what is the size of the gap in our levels? Alright, I'll level up a little more and then face him. This time, I really need to be careful. We meet again. Aren't you guys tired of this? Every time, these guys are also reviving. Then does that mean they have infinite regeneration, and then Suho starts attacking those idols and destroys them? So that Suho levels up and gets a notification, you have reached the required level for a player. The title quest has dropped. Will you accept the quest? The title quest will begin now. You can achieve the points required for a high-class title by enduring long enough. I was in a tough spot because I didn't have a watch, but things turned out well. Suho is still fighting with the Shadow Army, blocking all of their attacks as well as evading them, when the Shadow Army summons a large soldier with his magic. I don't need such a thing anymore. And then Suho starts fighting with his hands and very quickly finishes off that soldier, due to the fact that men fight with their fists. And now Suho's leveling up too, and he gets a notification: you may be able to perform an advanced class promotion based on the promotion points you receive. A suitable class will be given upon analyzing the player's actions. All the arduous trials were overcome by your fighting spirit. You trust in your own strength and advance forward while fearing no trials promotion. You have exceeded the expected play time. Points will be given. You have more than 50% HP left. All the enemies have been defeated by you. Points will be given. The limits of the promotion points have exceeded the achievement limits. You've advanced from martial artist to soul striker. This still isn't enough yet. I need to become even stronger in order to defeat him. Enemies will appear in the field one by one if you do not move. You have leveled up, and Suho gets rewarded too: Guard's Necklace, A. Highest Grade Mage's Ring, A. Burning Battle Demon's Gauntlet, S. And Suho again goes to Igris to fight him. I keep you waiting, don't I? It's my turn now. Sung Suho, level 70. Then now Suho and Igris are face to face, and Igris does the first attack, but Suho avoids his attack, and the fight between both of them starts in a very dangerous way, and now Suho's power has increased a lot because he is giving Igris a hard fight, but now it seems that Igris is finding it very difficult to block Suho's attacks, and now Suho increases his speed very fast, and Igris thinks, is this the power of the young monarch whose power isn't at 100% yet, and also, Suho understands how powerful Igris is. I will know for sure after leveling up and fighting again. This black cat is stronger than I ever thought. His stats are on a whole other level than normal soldiers who can regenerate infinitely. In other words, he exceeds normal standards. But if that's the case, it also means I'm the same. I don't know what the game's rules are like, but I've been given additional stats since level 1, and I was able to defeat high-level soldiers with ease. Considering how I get an additional point for all stats every time I level up, plus the additional stat points, what I have now isn't that of a level 70s. It must be around level 110, and Suho gets a title, Young Monarch, OUE to the ability success of the Shadow Monarch. All stats are increased by 40 points. In the second part, we saw that Suho and Igris were fighting with each other, and in this part, both are fighting. He has incredible potential. The innate mana and talent that's born from the body of the monarch combined with divine existence and an S-rank awakened of the forgotten history. To think he can bring out this much power even though he doesn't know how to use it properly yet. To install Young Monarch. I've lost, and now Igris is defeated, and Suho is very happy. Also, Suho's level has increased, and after that, a gate opens in front of Suho. Has the exit finally appeared? That's the D Tower that's in Songpagu. But why is it on fire, and then a three-headed beast appears in front of Suho? But he is very scared of Suho. I guess this isn't a monster. It's just a fierce-looking stone statue, huh? Another door. Nothing will start if I do not open it. Now, after going ahead, Suho meets a lot of beasts, but he defeats them all. 10th floor, 20th floor, 30th floor, why are they all such weakness? 50th floor. The floor's boss died with just a few hits. This isn't satisfying at all. Did I level up way too much after defeating the Black Knight? Although the map is pretty huge, if I work hard at running around it, I should be able to clear a floor within an hour. 100th floor. Either way, I'm sure it's not much, and as soon as Suho goes ahead, he finds a girl, and Suho directly attacks that girl. But that girl stops Suho and says, "You overcome so much difficulty to get here. We didn't expect that you'd come here alone so easily without any soldiers by your side. You were unable to come here the last time. I'm the eldest daughter of the number-ranked demon, later. My name is Ellis. Welcome to the last stage. What? Is it the end already? There's nothing more. Yes, this is the end. There was originally a Demon King stage, but that got taken away after my family became number one. Congratulations on entering the castle for the first time. How about having a banquet? My father. I mean, the patriarch has prepared a grand celebration for you. Didn't you say this was the end? What's that, then? That is not the demon castle, it is a gate that leads to another dimension. So something like this is called a gate, huh? Ah, are you leaving already? But, the banquet. I have no idea what demons eat, but I am not of legal drinking age. I'll attend the banquet next time when I'm older. Alright, I'll see you again next time, then. Wait, the monarch never returned after saying we'd meet again. Let's meet again if there's a chance to do so. The demon castle has been neglected for 60 years. He made us do all the work when we made the stone statue. I can't just let him go like this. You said you're exile of the Late Eyes family, right? I'll remember you. Let's meet again. This is really the exit, right? Or is it a trap? Don't tell me it's still not over, and as soon as Suho goes ahead, a lot of ants attack him. Why are these huge-ass ants? Damn it. They're endless. But thanks to them, I'm leveling up pretty quickly. Name, Sung Suho level, 94 now that I've gotten used to them. I think I can go in there now. It's really big. How big is the owner of this place for this room to be so big? Is that the only one here? But why is it crying? Then, after that, Suho and Baru's fight starts, but Baru is crying and attacking Suho. Suho doesn't understand why this beast is attacking me like this. What on earth is this guy? And then Baru says, I let my guard down. And then Baru gives up and loses. That was really close. An ant with wings. It was terrifying, but unusual. Rather than attacking, it remained hesitant, leaving itself with numerous openings. Well, thanks to that, I was able to barely defeat it. Ugh. My body's sore. Another gate, but I don't think my level will go up anymore. I'll probably be able to go back home for real this time, right? This is seriously never ending. I'm still at level 99, do you want a mid-air battle? Come out, it's been 50 years since I joined a war within the territory of rest. This game, in which only originals can take part, the fact that I've been permitted to join in this form of mine means that you're an excellent warrior who's the apple of our ruler's eye. You might be the Vice Lord. But I wonder if you'll be able to withstand my full power. Did it just say something? What's with this pressure? I feel like I'm being pressed down by outstanding power. Is it that being's doing? The Black Knight and Black Ant had the appearance of a swaying shadow, come to think of it. That means that these persons are the stage bosses, if I can just get rid of them, huh? What's this? Was my guess wrong? There are 3 more shadow monsters like this, and again, Suho starts fighting. I'll get rid of you, the one who looks for the most trouble, first. Then suddenly Tusk comes in front of Suho and prepares a huge explosive attack and attacks on Suho. But Suho barely avoids that explosive attack, as expected, now that I have a staff. My explosions have gotten more amazing, and Suho gets shocked, but still, Suho is fighting, and at that point, Jima comes and says, Voice Lord, don't tell me you thought such an attack would be able to defeat me. After joining our liege's army, I've climbed up to where I am now by working hard in secret that whole time. Even if everything's been forgotten, I'll make sure to show my loyalty to Der Liege by leaving a dear impression on you. Guys like him, keep appearing endlessly. I can't deal with them with my current stamina level, a little more. I need to control my strength a little more. More delicately. Without wasting any of it, so that I can deal with large numbers and armies. Just by myself. It would be very boring if this was the end. Disappear if that's all you have to show me, and with this attack, Tusk is defeated. Although my stats didn't increase, I become able to control my strength proficiently throughout all those numerous fights, and now Bellion comes to this place, and looking at Bellion, Suho thinks, he's strong. Perhaps even more than the ant from earlier. You can speak too, right? I've got something to ask you before we fight. What percentage of the total fighting force have I already attacked? Even if the demon castle is excluded, the troops that are gathered here are just January 3000 of the total army. After defeating so many of you, it's only January 3000, huh? Vice Lord, you've grown up really well. And then Bellion attacks Suho. You guys keep calling me Vice Lord, but what the hell does that mean? Is that related to why I've been pulled into this world? And, if I'm a lord, I should be called a lord. Why am I a Vice Lord? The sword can be transformed into a whip. While it's able to be used in a versatile manner, I can just grab onto it. Your stomach would be open if you used both of your arms to protect your face. I doubt you'd fall just like this. If we keep fighting, it will most likely take a day. You're not the master of this place, are you? Yes, this guy is a fake. The real master is, and now Jin-Woo also comes. Then Suho starts fighting with Jin-Woo. He's fast. And strong. He's really amazing. Not only is he strong, but each of his attacks is also elaborate. Each of the attacks is done with techniques. How hard does one have to train, and how many life or death crises does one have to experience before they can become this skillful? But, I won't just lose like this. The stats that I brought to their limits and my combat abilities that I have grown enough to handle those stats, I still have a chance of winning even if his stats outperform mine. I may hate him, but I respect him. If I can also become that strong, but Suho is very weak in front of Jin-Woo right now, so Jin-Woo puts his hand on Suho's head and says, "Did you enjoy the game? You were pretty amazing, however, you still have a long way to go." And Suho is very shocked to hear his dad's voice. And then, after this, Suho's eyes open in his classroom. What a bizarre dream. Did I play too many games? I can't believe I got lost in some weird dungeon, and Dad was the final boss. And then there's a girl. What? There's still someone here. Are you not going home? I'm going to lock the classroom. Oh, I'm leaving. Should I help you? And then Jin-Woo is watching Suho from above. To think the vestige of the architect that was neglected within the territory of rest could be used in this manner is pretty useful, my lord. Wouldn't it be alright to return the Woe Lord's powers to him now? Such tests have been done in the past. But he has never made this much progress before. I think he's definitely qualified. Do you think we would have won if I had simply trusted in my power and fought the Dragon Emperor? No matter how strong a power one has, as long as the victory isn't guaranteed, one must know how to run away as well. To charge at a powerful foe recklessly without calculating his odds. That's just reckless bravado. Not yet. Yes, it is not the time. He'll know eventually. How to apply his powers in response to the situation. Well, despite not knowing anything, I was able to open the gate after numerous attempts without giving up. But Barot is still getting emotional looking at Suho's drawing. I've got something important to do today. Shall we eat out somewhere after that is done with only our family members? Next up in the news, the criminal brothers, Huang Dungeon and Huang Dongsu, that had stirred the whole country up were arrested this afternoon. The next news item will be linked to a live scene. Although a large fire had occurred today and almost spread to the nearby houses, 52 fire trucks and 800 firemen were dispatched and managed to suppress the fire successfully. As expected of Captain Sung. He's really incredible. To think he still has energy even after putting out that huge fire. I want to become like him someday. Something's flying past in the sky. That's probably a plane, and then after this, the scene shifts. Sir, are you okay? Yes. Where did we stop talking? We were saying that we had to decide on the title of the new virtual reality game that our company would release. Are you listening to me, everyone? My wife is pregnant with our first child. She's 6 weeks pregnant. Then after this, the scene shifts, and somewhere far away in the sky, a gate opens. The gates No one knows what might appear beyond them. That is why people are always afraid. And pray that the gates won't open. But there are people who fight against those fears and leap into those very gates, and we call those people hunters. Yes, this is the Hunter Association Support Department. I specifically asked you not to send Mr. Sung, so why do you keep sending him anyways? I'm sorry, Mr. Hunter. There seems to have been an error in the team's creating process. Can you please slowly explain what happened? I don't want to do things slowly and have to clean up corpses within my team. If you push a hunter who's so weak that he falls at the slightest touch into my team, how am I supposed to deal with the consequences? If you do this again, I'll just quit altogether. Grab any students on the streets and ask them this. What kind of job do you want to do in the future? They'll definitely give you one of these three answers. A famous hunter, an employee in a large guild, or an employee of the Hunter Association. His rank is E. His mana is among the lowest of the low. But just based on his status, he's a normal person. Oh my god, he is injured so often. At this point, he is still alive, which is a miracle. Why is he going so far to become a hunter? Does he have a special reason or something? She is in the ICU and is sick with eternal sleep. His sisters are still in high school. He's 23 years old, which makes him 6 years younger than me. Sir, shouldn't we try to stop hunting Sung Jin-Woo? We already tried our best. Why did you sign up for the Hunter Association? It was due to the news I saw when I was young. There was a report about a certain hunter that was saving his comrades that almost got trapped, but then he got trapped himself. I was just curious at first. Hunters go to the extent of being injured to save others, so who would save them then? If no one would help them, I would. I wanted to do what I could to help hunters avoid injury and death. I think that's what I resolved to do. Do you want the hunter Sung to stop being a hunter? Or do you want to help him? Haha. I see. There is nothing I can do other than recommend him to quit. What if there is still something you can do? Even after being evaluated as high-ranking awakened, they choose not to become hunters because they are not interested in money. How about persuading these people to help the hunters that belong to the association? B-rank healer hunter. That's a high-rank healer. Lee Ju-hee, who refused to become a hunter despite having the good abilities because she's scared. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo, who's weak but overcomes his fear and enters gates. If someone is able to transform fear into courage, they'll be able to become the strength for the weak. Would you like to give it a try? In hope that it will be useful to the journey beyond the gate, no matter how small it may be. Yes, I'll give it a try. And then the scene shifts, and Soho and the girl are playing rock, paper, scissors. Oh, yeah. You're really bad at rock, paper, and scissors, huh? Hold my bag for me. What's wrong? Is there something out there? No, it's nothing. And again, the scene shifts, and Jinwon and Cha-hee are having a romantic time. I haven't seen this sight in a long time. Darling. This is our anniversary present for the 16th time. Honey, go back home first. I'll be right behind you. You won't take long, right? I'll be waiting for you. Existences that possess great strength are said to be able to attract horrible things from other worlds. What's beyond this door? I'm afraid. What if something that's far more powerful than anything I've met before appears? Will I die? In such a place? But if I do not open it, I will not know anything. I won't know what will happen, damn it. Did I die again? How many days have I been here? It's so tiring. I want to go back. I only have one chance left. This voice that started to shout at me from a certain point in time onwards. Get up. Arise. Even if this is my last chance. If I don't want to stop like this, if I can grow stronger, whatever lies beyond that door, I want to challenge it.